What's up, Hoopers? This is NBA Now. I am Nic Rohloff, and on today's show, two topics. Pascal Siakam, what's the latest surrounding him? Because he was almost dealt to the Sacramento Kings just a couple days ago. Where do we stand now? And also, Dejounte Murray. I believe he's going to be dealt before the trade deadline away from the Atlanta Hawks. Where could he possibly go? Is there a reunion in store? Stay tuned for that. But before we get into the latest on these two, don't jinx it. You want your favorite team to make a big-time trade at the NBA trade deadline and propel themselves towards the NBA playoffs. Like the video. Come on, hit that like button. And without further ado, let's dive into today's video. And it starts with Pascal Siakam because the rumors on the big man from Toronto are hot right now. And just some background knowledge, by the way, in case you didn't know this, Siakam is actually a free agent this upcoming offseason. And that is something to take note of because if you're trading for Siakam, how many assets are you really going to give up? Because he could just leave you. But obviously most teams, if you trade for Pascal, are going to want to sign an extension. But let's get into what Shams Charania said just a couple of days ago surrounding Pascal Siakam because a deal was almost done with the Sacramento Kings. I'm told the Raptors and Kings were in active conversations about a Pascal Siakam trade, revolving around Harrison Barnes. At this point, the only way it ignites is if Toronto comes back to Sacramento. And let's just start with the fit with the Kings. I think that Siakam would actually be a great fit in Sacktown with the Kings because you got De'Aaron Fox, you have Domantas Sabonis, you got Keegan Murray, which we'll talk about in just a second. And then if you slide Pascal Siakam in at the 4, well, you can have a really talented core 4 in that starting lineup with Malik Monk coming off the bench. The team did not win a playoff series last year after being a top seed, like the Beam was electric, but they need some more help, and maybe Siakam is that guy. He still is putting up good numbers in the 6 for the Raptors. 22 a night, 6.5 boards, and I think the most underrated thing about Pascal Siakam that I personally love is that he's an underrated playmaker. 5 assists a night, and if you've actually looked back at his statistics over the past 3 to 4 seasons, he has constantly improved on a year-to-year basis with his playmaking numbers. The only knock on Pascal is that he's really struggling with the 3-ball this season. We'll talk more about Siakam in depth here in a second, but let me know who you want to trade for Pascal Siakam. There's a lot of teams interested in the services of the former 2020 NBA champion. Who do you want to trade for Pascal Siakam? But to close things out with the Sacramento Kings, I don't think a deal will actually happen with Sacktown and Toronto. You mentioned that the only way it does spark, thanks to Shams Charania, is that if Toronto comes back to the table. But the reason why it fell through, in my personal opinion, I don't know this for a fact, I'm not reporting anything, but I believe Toronto wanted Keegan Murray in return for Pascal Siakam, and the Kings are just not willing to do that, and rightfully so. The former Iowa Hawkeye, the 4th overall pick just from 2 seasons ago, has been terrific for the Kings. 15 a night in year 2. Are you kidding me? One of the best three-point shooters in the NBA as well, just in year 2. And I know the numbers suggest maybe that isn't the case with 36% from beyond the arc, but I'm telling you, every time I watch this guy play hoops, it feels like he's going 7 for 10 from deep. And we know he almost set the record for threes in a game just a couple months ago. Keegan Murray is a sniper and is a perfect 3rd or 4th option in a role-playing situation on a championship contending team, which is why if you brought in Siakam to Sacramento and had Keegan Murray as the 4, it could really work. You have De'Aaron Fox as your number 1, Siakam as your number 2, which he's proven in a good setting he can be that number 2 option because when the Raptors won the title in 2019-20, he was the second fiddle to Kawhi Leonard. You got Sabonis as your 3, Keegan Murray as your 4, and you get maybe a defensive guy at the deadline as well to help guard the wing and perimeter, and maybe Sacramento can really be a threat this postseason. But could it be the Dallas Mavericks who actually trade for Pascal Siakam? Because our good friend Shams Charania reported that the Mavericks are looking to upgrade their 4 spot and on the wing, and they have specific interest in Pascal Siakam. And they should, because the Mavs need front court help. They obviously have that dynamic duo in the backcourt with Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. But with the front court really relying on Dwight Powell and the rookie out of Duke, Derek Lively, they need a ton of help in that front court, especially that center position. I love Lively. He was one of my favorite rookies in this draft class, and I believe if the draft was done over tomorrow, I think Lively would actually go 5th overall. That's how good he's been for the Dallas Mavericks. But my question to you is, if you're serious in Dallas trying to win a title, do you trust Lively to be your only front court piece that can win a title? Like, think about it. He'll have to defend Nikola Jokic potentially. There's also other big men in the West that I don't really want Derek Lively going against, but if you get another guy in the front court that can really switch defensively and provide some offensive insurance, I think that could be a really good move for Dallas. We'll get to more on Pascal Siakam in just a bit, but shout out to Factor Meals. They are my favorite sponsor here at Chat Sports, and you should join them and get 50% off at factormeals.com/NBAchat50. The new year, it comes with some challenges, especially if you're trying to get those New Year's resolutions on track. But Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip grocery stores, the prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door with over 35 meals to choose from on a weekly basis, including keto, calorie smart, vegan and veggie, and more. Plus, over 55 weekly add-ons, including protein shakes and smoothies and juices. You'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. And when things get hectic, Factor is flexible. Change your order up every week with plans ranging from 4 to 18 meals per week. You can also pause or reschedule your deliveries at any time. So head to factormeals.com/NBAchat50 and use code NBAchat50 to get 50% off. That's code NBAchat50 at factormeals.com/NBAchat50. Get that 50% off right now. That link and promo code will be in the description and chat and comments, I should say, of today's video. But how about Pascal Siakam to the Bay Area? Yeah, we're diving real in depth to Pascal Siakam today because, well, he might be the hottest topic in the NBA trade rumor mill. But how about our good friend Paul George? Yep, the one still playing in the NBA, hopped on his podcast and said a Kuminga-Siakam swap makes sense for both teams. And when you look at Jonathan Kuminga specifically, he has really started to find his footing in Golden State. And he actually had, if you're reading the news a little bit, that little spiff with Steve Kerr as he was wanting more more minutes in the rotation. But I thought he's been good this year. 12.8 points per game. He's really athletic. He's lengthy, good arm span, wingspan, and he can really defend, man, shooting 50% from the field. Now, the one knock on him is his three-point shooting, but I'm bullish on Jonathan Kuminga. I think he provides a lot of things that you want in a winning basketball player. I mentioned his length. He's very active on the boards. I know his rebounding numbers might not suggest he's an elite rebounder, but I think he is someone who crashes the offensive glass with a lot of intensity and really is able to rise over some other guys going for the rebounds because of his athleticism, his arm length. And he's still really, really young. I mean, this guy was a lottery pick 2 or 3 years ago, but came in the league at 18. So there's still a lot of area for growth for Kuminga. I'm a big fan of his game, and I get if you're trying to really capitalize in Golden State on the final years of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and others, bringing in a guy like Siakam makes sense, but I think Kuminga would be terrific in this league. I think he can be a guy as a 4th, 5th role player where he is just really dynamic, makes winning basketball plays. I don't love his fit in Toronto specifically because you guys got other people who can't really shoot like Scotty Barnes and RJ Barrett, but I think Kuminga's really good in this league, and I don't know if I'd be willing to trade him in a vacuum for Pascal Siakam. There's a lot of trade rumors going around inside the NBA, and make sure you are up to date with all of them. We are going to have you covered here at NBA Now on all NBA trade rumors, so hit that sub button. Don't miss a thing, and you will not regret it. We are a month away from that NBA trade deadline. One last thing on Pascal Siakam. I know it's a lengthy segment on Siakam today, but how about Chris Haynes reporting that Siakam and Dejounte Murray, yes, the guard from Atlanta, could be a swap candidate between Atlanta and Toronto. That definitely could happen. I wouldn't be surprised if that deal started to resurface again. My initial reaction to this, again, this was talked before? Did I miss something? Where was I when Dejounte Murray and Pascal Siakam almost got traded for each other? But either way, Murray's been terrific and the mainstay on that Hawks rotation this year. And I'll say this, the Hawks haven't really done anything good. They're struggling. They're probably going to miss the playoffs, which is why they can go full rebuild and trade away Dejounte Murray, who's having one of his best years offensively at 21 points per game. The assists are down. The rebounds are now down. But I think the assist is obviously because Trae Young is the primary ball handler. But Murray's shooting a career high from beyond the arc at 38.4%. Also 46.7% from the field. He just had a 30-point game on like 13 of 19 shooting. Murray has really taken a leap offensively, but his defense has taken a hit. One of the better guard defenders in the NBA, but this year, not the case. And I got to be honest, when you think about this potential trade between Atlanta and Toronto, it makes sense for one side. If you're trying to not go into a full rebuild and just retool down at Atlanta, it makes sense for them to acquire Pascal Siakam. He can be that number 2, the number 3 option alongside Trae Young. He doesn't require the ball to be in his hands. Now, he can get isolation buckets, get a rebound on the defensive end, and push the pace, get to the rim, or play make for others, as I noted earlier in the video. But he can also run a pretty dynamic role, or pick and roll, I should say, with Trae Young. I never loved the idea of Young and Murray in the backcourt together because I think it took away from Dejounte Murray's biggest strength, which was his playmaking, because he did average 8 assists in one season with San Antonio. Don't love him going to Toronto either when you talk about Murray's fit with the Raptors. They just traded for Emmanuel Quickly, who I thought was the main piece they got back instead of RJ Barrett. Yeah, I think IQ was the person they wanted back more than RJ in that Anunoby deal. So if you want to build around IQ, why would you bring in Dejounte Murray? I like the fit for Siakam in Atlanta. Don't love Murray in the 6. We talked about 4 teams that could trade for Siakam. But who does trade for Siakam? If it was one of the 4 teams we talked about, let me know who you think it is. If it's the Kings, type SAC. Warriors, GSW. Mavericks, DAL. Hawks, that ATL. Staying with Murray, is he heading back to the San Antonio Spurs? Once again, Shams Charania reported that the Spurs are interested in a potential Dejounte Murray reunion. And I'll tell you this, I don't know if it should be Dejounte Murray, but the Spurs absolutely need a point guard for Victor Wembanyama. The rookie sensation from France has been up and down this rookie year. I think he's no doubt still a top 3 rookie. You look between him, Jaquez Jr. in Miami, and Chet Holmgren, even though I don't think Chet should be considered a rookie. But either way, he's definitely in the top 3. But he has been neglected by his point guards in San Antonio. They don't pass him the rock as much as they should, if you believe that. The number 1 pick, the most hyped prospect since LeBron. They don't give him the pill as much as they should, especially when he's rolling to the basket. Wembanyama has a lot of opportunities when he cuts baseline or just in a standard pick and roll to catch a lob and slam it home and potentially rise up above other defenders. He's 7'4" with an unbelievably long wingspan. He can reach the top shelf on the cookie jar and slam it home. Yet the guards in San Antonio don't lob it up to him. And I'm looking at you, Jeremy Sohan. I liked you coming out of Baylor. Thought there was a lot of versatility there. I thought you were a young Dennis Rodman, the way you played defense and crashed the boards. But Popovich has got Sohan playing point guard and facilitating. That's not his game. They're trying to make him Ben Simmons when he actually won Rookie of the Year, and I don't get why they're doing that. Murray can be that point guard in San Antonio, and he's showcased he can do it before. He played 320 games for Popovich down in San Antonio. Averaged 12.5 points per game, 6 rebounds, about 5 assists, shot 45% from the field. Now, a lot of those numbers are a little bit down from what you would expect an elite point guard to be because of how his career started in San Antonio. But his final 2 seasons, he was fantastic, which is why the Hawks traded 3 first-round picks for him to pair him up with Dejounte Murray. But I absolutely do think Dejounte will be on the move. Landry Fields and the Atlanta Hawks have basically come out and said they're looking to remove Murray from this lineup. They're trying to retool and going a different way because they've noticed that this build isn't probably going to net them a championship when things are all said and done. It's just a question of where Dejounte Murray will actually be traded. There's a lot of good suitors out there. The Knicks potentially. Miami makes sense, but I don't think they'll do it. You got potentially maybe that Toronto trade, and then apparently San Antonio is interested as well. I do expect Murray to be traded. It's just all a matter of where. I'll do it on today's video. If you haven't already, follow yours truly on Twitter at Nic_Rohloff. I tweet about the NBA every single day, and if you want to be up to date on all the trade rumors, I'm going to tweet about it first before I come on NBA Now and provide y'all with a video. So stay up to date with the latest NBA rumors at my Twitter, Nic_Rohloff.